Hello. Thank you all for joining me today on my anti-Nintendo rant here, and it's been a long time coming, let me tell you. I really appreciate you all coming here and clicking on this video to share your hate for this terrible video game.
Okay guys, that was a joke, but not like a funny one, more of a joke used to prove my point, which is that is not what we're doing today, okay? I want to be very clear that there's going to be absolutely no hate for Nintendo or their games in this video. This is literally just a list going over 5 actual factual times in the past 34 years that Zelda lore changed from one thing to another, sometimes even for no reason in particular, other than just because it fits better and will contain no criticisms for the company at all. Maybe. Possibly. Anyway, make sure you comment below which item from this list sticks out to you, and please consider subscribing to help grow the channel and liking the video if you enjoy my content. Without further ado, here we go! Number 1. Wait, no, let's do it the opposite way because that makes for much more suspenseful of a list. Number 5. The placements in the timeline. Woo! Starting off big. Well, as most know by now, the official canon approved timeline is a thing, to say the least. It combines the concept of time travel with the concept of multiple realities and creates this just fantastic amalgamation that you love to look at but hate to think about. And what if I told you that not only does this timeline annex games into it as time goes on, but sometimes Nintendo actually just straight up moves games within the timeline that already had placements previously? Nope, not kidding. My example for this is actually just recently when the remake of Link's Awakening was released last year. Prior to the release, Link's Awakening actually canonically took place after the Oracle games located in the Downfall timeline. However, now it's located promptly before them. The only reason I can think of as far as why Nintendo would just randomly change this would be to possibly shut down the semi-popular theory that Link actually died at sea at the end of Link's Awakening, and force theorists to realize the truth that it is in fact the same Link from Link's Awakening experiencing the Oracle games. Oh, I'm sorry, was that a spoiler? I'm sorry, but you know you did click on a video that specifically mentioned it would delve into Zelda lore, and that... Okay, I'm sorry. Consider this a spoiler warning for the rest of the video. Up next at number 4, we have Link's left-handedness. So, this is a good one actually, because a lot of Zelda fans these days are actually new to the series starting from Breath of the Wild. So, did you know that Link was originally left-handed? And I'm not even talking about like, oh man, back in the 80s in the first Zelda game, if you use a microscope and look at the 2 left pixels, you can clearly see that he was left-handed. No, I mean like literally in every iteration of Link, all the way up until Skyward Sword, he was specifically left-handed. And I'm not counting Twilight Princess's Wii version because that was just a flipped version of the GameCube one, meaning that technically he was still left-handed. So yeah, for what, some 25 years, Link specifically wielded swords and items in his left hand, which is a trait that's so rare in real life that it must have been a deliberate choice every time they made it. And then it was just dropped to make way for us right-handed players when Nintendo wanted to introduce the hugely popular motion controls of Skyward Sword that literally everybody loved and misses to this day. So yeah, it used to be a cool piece of Zelda lore that all Links were left-handed. I guess we righties ruined that one. Oh, by the way, if you're left-handed, say hi in the comments below. I'm kind of curious how many of you are out there actually. Number 3 brings us to Ganondorf. Big, bad, familiar Ganondorf. But not this one. Yeah, so for whatever reason, in the game Four Swords Adventures, which takes place after Ganondorf's death at the end of Twilight Princess, instead of using the already existing trope of reviving Ganon, which is done, a couple times here and there in the Downfall timeline, Nintendo straight up introduced another Ganondorf that turns into another Ganon. This one doesn't exist in any other game and he doesn't matter to the rest of the timeline. You don't even get to see him in-game before he's already turned into Ganon. Like, dude, that's kind of a big deal that forces you to change the way you look at Ganondorf. In all other circumstances, it's the same Ganondorf that was sealed away at the end of Ocarina of Time, which is why it's all about his followers reviving Ganon in the games following A Link to the Past, and adds to the significance of his speeches in Wind Waker or his exile in Twilight Princess. But the adult timeline just had to go introduce this random reincarnation of Ganondorf instead of introducing, another enemy, which they've already done many times. And because of this, we're posed with several new problems actually. Like, does this mean he's essentially Demise's version of the reincarnated spirit of the hero? Like, the spirit of the, demon pig? Who knows, but either way, the change in lore from one Ganondorf to now an indefinite possibility of Ganondorf's isn't really that appreciated by theorists, and is one of the reasons why Four Swords Adventures being a canon game is still debated in Zelda forums to this day. For number 2, we have the age of the hero, as in what age Link has to be able to wield the legendary Master Sword, and I guess be considered a hero, maybe. Anyway, this is one of those pieces of Zelda lore that originally wasn't even a thing, but became a thing and then changed once it was a thing. Ahem. So the Master Sword made its first appearance in the game A Link to the Past, which obviously wasn't the first appearance timeline-wise, but was the first time Nintendo conceptualized the legendary blade. At the time, it was received very well, with Link even being able to upgrade the legendary blade twice once he retrieved it from deep within the Lost Woods. Now fast forward to Ocarina of Time, which was the first time the Master Sword has been seen in 3D. When Link, who for the past 12 years of Zelda gaming has always been shown as a young child, goes to retrieve the Master Sword, boom, he turns into an adult. But not really an adult because he's still only like 16, but you know, it's I guess more adult than being 9. Why did this happen, you ask? Well, to quote the Sage of Light and part-time Santa Claus cosplayer Raru, Link has been sealed away for 7 years because he was too young to be the hero of time. And this is actually the core mechanic for the entire game and the entire timeline split. So the age that Link is considered the hero worthy of wielding the Master Sword is kind of a big deal, and at the time was accepted as the new normal for the Master Sword. However, the next time the blade is shown in the series is in Wind Waker, a game that takes place after Ocarina both legitimately and canonically. According to Eiji Aonuma, the series' director and producer, Link in Wind Waker is canonically 12 years old. And guess what? He just picks up that Master Sword like it's any other blade. Obviously, you can see the discrepancy here. Link specifically had to be 16 years old to wield that very weapon in Ocarina of Time, but in Wind Waker that requirement is completely just done away with. If you know the game, you might be tempted to say that it's because the Master Sword wasn't powered up when he picked it up, but, yeah, this is a change in lore, but I can't think of a reason why for this one. Lastly, number 1 brings us to the very staple of the series, the golden pinnacle of its symbolism, the Triforce, which used to be only 2 Triforces. Yep, you heard me correctly. In the original Legend of Zelda, the game's official manual reveals the discrepancy. It reads, a long time ago, the world was in an age of chaos. In the midst of this chaos, in a little kingdom in the land of Hyrule, a legend was being handed down from generation to generation, the legend of the Triforce, golden triangles possessing mystical powers. One day, an evil army attacked this peaceful little kingdom and stole the Triforce of power. This army was led by Ganon, the powerful Prince of Darkness who sought to plunge the world into fear and darkness under his rule. Fearing his wicked rule, Zelda, the princess of this kingdom, split up the Triforce of Wisdom into 8 fragments and hid them throughout the realm to save the last remaining Triforce from the clutches of the evil Ganon. The last remaining Triforce. By the end of the game, it's clear that there are indeed only 2 pieces in the original Legend of Zelda. Now these days, we can debate lore and say that maybe Link already had the Triforce of Courage, since Ganon had stolen the Triforce of Power, meaning it probably split into Wisdom, Power, and Courage and went to Zelda, Ganon, and Link respectively. However, it's clear that from the gameplay, the wording used in the game's manual, and the fact that Ganon clearly does not care about Link's piece of the Triforce and only cares about the last remaining piece of Wisdom, that it was originally intended to only be the 2 pieces. Oh, and by the way, it was originally called the Triforce not because there are 3 pieces, but because each piece is a triangle. This was the OG lore change that led to the iconic Triforce symbol we know of today. And that was my list of 5 times Nintendo actually straight up changed Zelda lore, either for the better, for the not so better, or for no reason at all. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed watching, and let me know in the comments if any of these were new to you, or if there's another change out there that I missed. We all love Nintendo very much, and this video was honestly not meant to criticize them in any way. I mean, after all, keeping up with one of the only living running and growing 30+ year video game franchises, and maintaining a congruent storyline is probably pretty difficult, and I very much so appreciate all the hard work they put into it. With that in mind, thank you for watching my humble little list, and as always, thank you to my fantastic supporters for doing what you do. Introducing the new face of Perseus, who joined right here on YouTube by clicking that join button below this video. If you're interested in getting your name up here at the end of each of my videos, well then buddy, you're in luck. Follow the links in the description below to find out how. Also down there are links to my social media pages, so you could follow me or whatever, connect with me more or whatever. It's whatever, That's all I've got for this one. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. This is Masked Nintendo Bandit signing out. Peace!